Please welcome to the stage Kyle Lierman, the CEO of When We All Vote.
Hey everybody. Thank you so much for having me here. And I just want to start with a huge thanks to Genevieve and Jamie and the whole team who organized this great gathering here today. It's awesome to see this wonderful group together, and shout out to all my Obama alumni here today. My name is Kyle Lierman. I'm the CEO of When We All Vote. We are a nonpartisan 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to making sure that every American that is eligible votes in every election. Simple premise. The campaign was launched last year with a little help from our co-chair, Michelle Obama, our forever First Lady, as well as co-chairs Tom Hanks, Lin-Manuel Miranda, Janelle Monáe, Chris Paul, and Tim McGraw and Faith Hill. Some incredible trusted voices from across the country. And the reason we launched the campaign and we dove in last July really was just very basic premise that I don't have to tell people in this room, but the fundamental belief that one of the biggest problems in our country is that not enough people are participating in it. So that's what When We All Vote is all about. So when it comes to voting, there are really three issues that you need to focus on to make sure you're getting everyone registered and getting everyone out: access, information, and motivation. There are incredible groups, many of whom are here today, who have been focused on voting for years and doing incredible work, especially in the access space. Folks are in the trenches working on that. And so what we thought we would do in that space last year is lift them up as much as possible and shine a spotlight on the great work that they were doing. There are also great groups working in the information and motivation space, but we had a really special tool in this space. We had one of the, if not the most trusted messenger in America to talk directly to voters across the country about the importance of registering and voting. So I sometimes joke, my job last year was literally to get Michelle Obama in every household across the country. And that's really what we were focused on. It was a public awareness campaign to make sure that her voice and the voice of other co-chairs and the voices of friends and family who cared about voting were getting communicated to every eligible voter. And we got it out in a really big way. And Michelle Obama's 29 million Instagram followers really helps. But we actually were able to reach 207 million Americans across the country on social media last year. We had 400 some artists and athletes and digital influencer ambassadors who helped us spread the word. And then we had incredible volunteers who were spending their time every day texting their friends and family. And we actually peer-to-peer texted 3.7 million Americans in just 3 weeks last year about getting out and registered and getting ready and out to vote. So it was a really powerful message to just make sure that her voice, that trusted messenger's voice, was getting to as many people as possible. We launched a little late, but we wanted to get out there in as big a way as we could. And what we also focused on doing was elevating the organizations that were doing great work in the space, and we're going to continue to do that. But as we moved past the 2018 election, when frankly I know everyone in here was just as excited as I was with the incredible turnout, we wanted to say, what can we do now to make sure people are still focused on this issue? And so When We All Vote is going to be launching its 2019 and 2020 program actually this June. And I'm not going to go through the whole litany of what we're going to be doing, but I'll just say first that one of the biggest things we're doing is we're launching in June, the year before a presidential election. Because we have to be focused on voting not just in September and October and November of presidential and federal election years. We have to be focused on voting every day, every year. So two things that we're focused on that we're going to launch in June that I'll just tease out for you all a little bit. The first category area is grassroots mobilization. We're going to be launching a high-level volunteer program in June that asks Americans to commit to being volunteers for When We All Vote and being ambassadors in their communities, to their friends, to their networks, to their family members, and also remote volunteers to folks in states that might not have as many volunteers. That program is also going to allow us to organize these high-level volunteers across the country in a really strategic way, and also allow us to add capacity to local organizations who maybe didn't have all the volunteer support that they needed. But if Michelle Obama calls you to action, people step up, and we're going to drive some of that energy to local organizations. The second category of work that we're really focused on, and I'll say Mrs. Obama did this incredibly well with her Let's Move campaign in changing the culture around healthy eating and food and exercise, and in her Reach Higher campaign around changing the culture on college going. And that is we want to change the culture around voting. We think that voting should be the norm for every American. We think it should be expected, and we think it should be something people want to do. So we're going to do a couple things in the culture of voting space. First, we're going to continue our media partnerships. We worked with BET last year, with Elle last year, with Blavity last year. It was hard to avoid When We All Vote on social media. So we're going to continue to build out those partnerships. We're going to continue to work with our 400 artists and athlete and digital influencer ambassadors to spread the word, not just on social media, but also by getting those folks like Tom Hanks, like Janelle Monáe, out across the country to celebrate voting, because it should be celebrated in local communities, whether it's a high school group doing volunteer work or a League of Women Voters doing volunteer work to make sure folks are registered. So we're going to continue to utilize those incredible influential voices to elevate voting. The second piece, and I've got to give a shout out to Shonda Rhimes, for all those Grey's Anatomy fans out there. If you were watching last year, they literally voted in Grey's Anatomy. And so one of the things we're actually doing is we're going out to our friends in Hollywood and saying, in every television show possible, in every movie possible, you've got to include voting. It doesn't have to be the whole theme of the show or the whole theme of the movie, but we want people to vote, because we want people, when they open up their laptops, when they're looking on their phone, when they're just watching the regular programming that they watch, we want them to see people voting. And so those are a couple of things that we are focused on. Those are a couple of the programs that we're going to launch in June. But I really want to just say, stay tuned. A lot of big stuff is coming out of When We All Vote in June. Also, look forward to continuing to talk with the folks that are here, because we want to continue to elevate and partner with you to make sure we are elevating your work and reaching as many Americans as possible, because when we all vote, we can change the world.